My name is Renee Mark-Barrow, and I'm currently taking my Master of Music in Popular Music Performance with the Academy of Music and Sound and the University of West London. My presentation today looks at how recent developments in immersive technology can create new opportunities for music makers, who I define as anyone who makes music that can be technologically distributed. In late 2019, I came across an article in an online Malaysian entertainment news website announcing live surround sound performances touring throughout Malaysia at TGV cinemas. This was an incredibly exciting development, as TGV cinemas was set to arrive in my part of the country in the year 2021. And it was at this point that I felt inspired to arrange a live surround sound concert. However, once we were hit with COVID-19 pandemic in early 2020, all concerts were cancelled. And as of January 2021, many of us have yet to perform in front of a live audience. And as I started researching into surround sound performances, this quickly evolved into researching related immersive technologies. However, in this presentation, I will be focusing on immersive audio. And having conducted some preliminary research, I believe that over the next few years, current developments in immersive technologies will bring about a revolution in music production and consumption, and that we are standing on the verge of a new age of music making. In terms of what I found to be the most useful writings regarding my topic, that in essence summarizes much of what is written before, is The History of 3D Sound by Braxton Boren in 2018, Sound Source Localization by Risud in 2018, and Justin Patterson and Gareth Llewellyn's Producing 3D Audio in 2017. It is important to understand that spatial or three-dimensional music and composition is not new. What is relatively new, however, is the music technology needed to reproduce 3D audio over loudspeakers or headphones. Braxton Boren, in his chapter on the history of 3D sound in Roginska's and Galuso's Immersive Sound, the Art and Science of Binaural and Multi-Channel Audio, argues that the history of immersive audio begins with natural human hearing. While 3D audio may seem like a fairly recent innovation, human hearing is naturally immersive and three-dimensional. And although we only have two ears on the sides of our heads, we are able to perceive and localize sounds coming from all directions simultaneously within a 360-degree sphere. Boren continues to provide an overview of historical 3D music composition and mentions antiphonal call and response, as well as 16th century multi-choir chori spizzati, an example of which is Thomas Challis's Spem in Alium, composed for 8 5-voice choirs. Regarding 3D audio headphone technology, Boren says it was first demonstrated in the year 1881 with the invention of a subscription-based binaural stereophonic opera and theatre live stream called the theatrophone, but only the very well-to-do could afford to install it. This service continued operating until 1932, when it was superseded by wireless monophonic radio. 1940 was when Disney created FANTASOUND for the movie Fantasia, a portable multi-speaker system which utilized 10 groups of speakers, 9 surrounding the audience and 1 on the ceiling. Multiple operators then panned 3 soundtracks around the audience to create a 3D audio effect. Although it was well ahead of its time, it was also a very time-consuming and costly setup, so the technology was abandoned and unfortunately lost at sea. Boren then continues covering the rest of history until the present, and a thorough investigation of the rest of Roginska and Galuso's book would provide a very good grounding for multiple aspects of immersive audio. Risud et al. Provide a useful overview of sound source localization and says the main factors contributing to human sound localization is number 1, the time difference between sound reaching one ear before another, called interaural time difference, ITD. The difference in intensity level of the sound reaching either ear, called interaural level difference, ILD. And the spectral shape known as head-related transfer functions, HRTF, created by a number of elements such as the shape of the parts of the outer ear, the pinna, and the canal. The shoulders, torso, and shape of the head also assist in sound localization. However, even with these 3 factors, humans still have a cone of confusion on both sides of the head, where there is a front-back and high-low ambiguity. This is overcome by a 4th factor contributing to sound localization, which is leaning or turning the head. And by doing so, sound localization is refined, and the cone of confusion is shrunk. Finally, Patterson and Llewellyn's chapter on producing 3D audio, written at the end of 2017, opens our eyes to the exciting possibilities that 3D audio can bring. It acknowledged the lack of published work on the topic at the time of writing, and sought to provide a credible and reliable introduction to three-dimensional audio production. The chapter is extremely comprehensive and provides fantastic grounding for any publication to build their work upon. Their main argument is that although stereo and horizontal surround production have established the conventions of good practice, the authors argue that both the technical and perceptual complexity of 3D production prevents them from translating well, and new conventions need to be developed. The authors predict that home 3D popularity will grow with the evolution of wave field synthesis, flat panel distributed mode loudspeakers, and transaural binaural reproduction. While personal 3D head-tracked audio developed by the VR industry will lead to head-tracked audio-only headphones. This actually came to pass just last year in 2020 with Apple's spatial audio AirPods. Mainstream popular music mixes will start to incorporate more dynamic binaural reproduction, and solutions to overcome HRTF matching issues will be developed. For my initial study, I have undertaken basic research into immersive technology, keeping in mind that the primary goal is to look for opportunities for music makers. As immersive technology is a relatively new and rapidly evolving field, my primary research has been based on attending online conferences and workshops over the last few months, as I believe this could produce more up-to-date research findings. In addition to this, I've been trawling the World Wide Web as much as possible. Here are the findings I made based on the conferences and workshops I attended in 2020. Firstly, the VR/AR Global Summit Online Conference and Expo. Now, the main piece of knowledge I gained was that the majority of virtual reality apps is made in the Unity 3D game engine. Also, panel discussion about virtual concerts and trends the music industry is adopting to combat a world gripped by a pandemic. The panel included Dara Danduran, curator at DD Productions, Amy Lemaire at WXR Fund, and Eric Wagliardo, creative director at Anpol, names I have taken down to research into further later. Surprisingly, the majority of speakers and workshops were not about gaming, but more about education, training simulations, healthcare, and therapy. But the main consensus was that VR and AR are going to be billion-dollar industries providing many jobs in the near future. The second conference I attended was Level Up KL 2020, which was touted as Malaysia's ultimate gaming convention. There was one workshop on augmented reality that was focused on the Vuforia engine that helps people create AR apps. Another workshop was on the future of extended reality, XR. However, again, the focus was on how virtual and augmented reality could be used in education, tourism, the medical sector, and real estate. Hardly anything was spoken about gaming. The main takeaway was that the Oculus Quest 2 headset has been a real step forward for the industry as a whole, and they are especially looking forward to Apple's AR glasses. Again, these are things to keep in mind for further research. The third conference I attended was the BBC 2020 Sounds Amazing Conference, which was a 3-day event hosted by the BBC celebrating innovation in audio. One of the sessions was about game audio and featured Sam Hughes, a game audio designer and PhD student at York University, who uses 3D sound to build complex environments and invoke emotion. An important point he made was that for games, one really needs to use middleware like Fmod and WWise. Another session featured Kay Dunnings, creative director at Lost Horizons, described as a real festival in a virtual world. Since the Glastonbury Festival was cancelled due to COVID, the team behind Shangri-La teamed up with VR Jam and Sansar to create the world's largest independent music festival in virtual reality. Some performances were filmed live, and others were pre-recorded and then placed in the virtual world alongside the attendees' avatars. The last session that I found relevant to my research was an interview with Catherine Robinson from BBC Wales, who talked about the use of 3D binaural sound in BBC's productions. She also talked about the Audio Orchestrator, a new tool to create immersive sound through multiple connected devices. She said that the BBC found that most of their listeners and viewers use headphones, and that very few people have the multiple speakers required for Dolby Atmos. This is why the BBC have chosen to broadcast binaural sound, working with the AMBISONICS format. The next workshop I attended was Envelop Stream, an immersive audio workshop with immersive ambient musician Christopher Willits, featuring Envelope for Live, and Ableton Live. Envelope San Francisco is a 32-speaker immersive audio venue that uses a piece of software called Envelope for live performances. They also have a portable mobile version of their setup for outdoor events. Christopher Willits is also the director of Envelope, and he mentioned that moving low-frequency sounds can create a sense of nausea. I then attended the 2020 Dolby Summit, which was discussing Dolby Vision as well as Dolby for Music. Fantastic Negrito was the artist being interviewed, who mentioned that all he needs is his Atmos engineer, as the rest of the band can be pre-recorded. They mentioned that Atmos could be mixed on a laptop with headphones, and that the Dolby Atmos production suite enables producers to use binaural rendering built into the renderer to work in Dolby Atmos without a 7.1.4 speaker system. The next workshop I attended was INTERAURAL Immersive Audio, Experimental Sound Design in Unity 3D with sound artist DEARVR Morrison, who was explaining how to use the Unity 3D game engine with Fmod middleware and Ableton's Max for Live. Thanks to these conferences and workshops, I now have a list of immersive audio artists, musicians, companies, and sound designers, as well as different types of software. I can contact and interview all of these people, all the companies, for further primary research as part of a larger study. In addition to this, I've learned that there are many industries that utilize virtual reality, and that the VR gaming industry is in its infancy, meaning that there are many opportunities for 3D audio music makers, whether it be in the gaming industry, education industry, or just performing. In terms of popular 3D audio formats, Dolby Atmos and Sony 360 Reality Audio are for music. In 2019, streaming music services Tidal started supporting 3D audio, offering both Dolby Atmos music and Sony 360 Reality Audio. Other online music subscription services soon followed. In order to hear Dolby Atmos music, you will need to have a premium subscription to either Amazon HD or Tidal Hi-Fi. And in the case of Sony 360 Reality Audio, in addition to Tidal Hi-Fi, you can also subscribe to Deezer or Nugs.net. You will then need to find songs that have been specifically mixed for Dolby Atmos music or Sony 360 Reality Audio. If subscribing to Tidal Hi-Fi, you can connect to any Dolby Atmos-enabled speaker system, of which there are many choices. Or in the case of Sony 360 Reality Audio, you can connect to any pair of headphones. But the opportunity for music makers to create 3D music came in the year 2020, when Dolby released the Dolby Atmos production suite, with Avid Play becoming the first to offer Dolby Atmos music distribution services. In January 2021, Sony released their 360 Reality Audio Creative Suite plugin, as well as launching their Creators program to distribute and promote artists' songs. Both Dolby and Sony have confirmed that music makers can mix on headphones using inbuilt virtualizers that render binaural versions of the tracks. In addition to this, Sony have also announced a video streaming service for 360 Reality Audio concerts. So I am very excited to see how things will develop over this coming year. If you haven't yet, you can put on your headphones as I play a short clip of binaurally rendered audio. This clip features demos from Dolby Atmos, Sony 360 Reality Audio, and recordings by the BBC.
Of this world and you about to make contacts. Show me something I ain't saw yet. Give me something that lasts. I own the game with a long bet. Houston, we got a problem. Launch that. I'm out of this world and you about to make contacts. Show me something I ain't saw yet. Give me something that lasts. I own the game with a long bet.
What's going on? Paul? Oh,
Oh, we should get the doctor.
Why, what's he going to do, lecture?
Right now, it should really feel like I'm walking closer to you around the left side of your head. It gets better because I can walk behind you and it really sounds like I'm there. And when it works best is when I come up right next to you and whisper sweet nothings into one ear while crinkling a crisp bag in the other.
At the moment, generic models of HRTFs are used to create binaural renderings of 3D audio, and the closer your HRTF matches the generic HRTF, the more you will hear the 3D effect. Conversely, if your HRTF is completely different to the generic HRTF, you may not experience the effect at all. However, technological advancement has now made it easier to create individualized HRTFs at home. For example, Earfish and MySofa can both generate personalized HRTFs, while Sony's Connect app captures images of your ears and creates personalized HRTFs for select Sony headphone models. Berger et al., in the article Generic HRTFs May Be Good Enough in Virtual Reality, refers to a number of studies on HRTF that acknowledges individualized HRTFs are better suited to simulating one's environment, and that generic HRTFs lead to increased confusion over audio source location compared to individualized HRTFs. However, Berger et al. Also says that when paired with synchronous visual stimuli in a VR application, generic HRTFs can potentially be as good as individualized HRTFs. This would indicate that more accurate individualized HRTFs are necessary if listening to audio-only immersive music, while if paired with visuals in a VR setting, a generic HRTF may be just as good. Now, with the launch of the Oculus Quest 2 at the end of 2020, we now have the highest quality, affordable standalone VR headset, which costs $299, cheaper than most current iPhones and the Sony PlayStation 5. And as of January 2021, I've only been able to find a handful of apps made for music on the Oculus Store. This includes Melody VR and Wave Beta, which are concert apps with both live and pre-recorded shows. Universal Music's VR TGO is a very low-quality app and is currently not worth using. TribeXR is a virtual DJ school, while Kizuna AI, Hatsune Miku VR, and Bark are all concept apps for VTubers. This means there are many opportunities for music makers to develop new virtual reality music apps. AMBISONICS is usually used for virtual reality apps. Currently, there are few industry standards for VR app 3D sound development, and there are a number of spatializer tools offered by various companies for creators to download and use to develop. In addition to Unity 3D, there is also Facebook 360 Spatial Workstation, Google Resonance Audio SDK, Steam Audio, Oculus Audio SDK, and middleware like Fmod and WWise. However, they generally all use the Ambisonics format. One of the most highly rated spatializers for VR is currently Sennheiser's DEARVR, who recommend a workflow that consists of DEARVR Pro, DEARVR Spatial Connect for working with a VR HMD, and finally DEARVR Unity to integrate the audio into Unity 3D. What I would like to propose as a larger study depends on the scope. In terms of 3D audio, I would like to conduct interviews with the various individuals and companies mentioned regarding best practices for 3D audio. This would then be combined with a practice-based exploration of 3D audio software mentioned, with possibly trying to develop 4 possible formats, which is number 1, a virtual reality 3D ambisonic experience on headphones, 2, 3D audio Sony 360 reality audio recording on headphones, number 3, 3D audio, Dolby Atmos recording on home loudspeakers, and number 4, 3D audio envelope for live performance in a live venue setting. An extension to this larger study would be to combine 3D audio with a holographic performance. The potential impact on the wider world is that VR music education could provide something that books and audio tracks cannot, which is the sense of immersion of a real performance. Venues and festivals could save thousands and cut down the environmental impact of plane travel by having holographic performances instead of flying bands in. And with 3D audio, these holographic performances could be made even more immersive. And a new way of enjoying compositions that were once impossible could be created. In summary, I would like to end with this quote from Justin Patterson in Producing 3D Audio. "The creative possibilities are exciting, presenting one of the biggest single opportunities to forward music production in a long time. These possibilities await only innovative individuals with suitable tools to build a new sound world that will represent a step change in the creation and consumption of music." Thank you very much for your time.